A marriage can make a house a home, but moving, well, that's more of a recipe for divorce. Who Packed the Garbage? By Irma Bombeck. Read by Karl. We had a couple of good years in our house. Then it happened. The rooms shrank, the cupboards disappeared, and the schools and the shopping centers moved. The lawn spread, the closets diminished, and no one could find the garage that the buyer swore went with the house. Maybe we should start looking for a larger house, I suggested. Indeed not, said my husband. I'm sick and tired of moving every time the ashtrays fill up. We stay. He would need a little convincing. Why am I sleeping with the storm windows? He asked one morning. You devil, you noticed, I said. I noticed. Why am I sleeping with the storm windows? It's a mistake, I said. The boys are supposed to sleep with the storm windows. You're supposed to sleep with the bicycles. There's no storage space in this house. You're as subtle as bad breath, he said. We stay. I love these advanced schools out here, I continued. Did I tell you the primary grades are putting on the last picture show for a Christmas pageant? We stay, he persisted. Hope you're not in your safe office worrying about us all day in a house with a front door that won't lock, a clogged up flue, an overloaded kitchen circuit, and a Smokey the Bear posting signs all over the attic. The front spigot is broken, the lawn is ridden with crabgrass. 2 dining room windows are stuffed with paper towels. The front door snaps behind you like a trap. The bathroom tail is rusting, and I took the Sears catalog out of the bathroom. When the wind whistles down the vent, maybe we better start looking around. I've already written the ad, I smiled. Charming 3-bedroom house in the suburbs you have to see to believe. Spacious rooms, storage, fireplace, 2 baths, many extras. Convenient to progressive schools and shopping center. Will sacrifice to family who promises to love it. What are you doing? I'm making a list of the things that have to be done. I had no idea the house was that bad. Where's your pride, woman? Do you want people to think we live this way? Later in the night, we read the ad. I'll miss your homemade screens. Remember the night we almost named a mosquito in our divorce suit? Nothing compared to the day we hung wallpaper in the hallway. On your daffodil bulbs, remember? You planted them upside down, they haven't surfaced yet. I love this kitchen. The trees are just beginning to look finished. We brought 3 babies to this happy house. I hope no one buys it, he said. Me too, I sobbed. Our sentiment gave way to practicality a few days later. As you know, there are 2 methods of selling one's house. You can try to sell it yourself, or contract an agent to do it for you. Real estate agents tell you that if you attempt to do it yourself, you will be badgered by phone calls, hounded by curiosity seekers, and driven crazy by Sunday lookers. They are right. The first day our ad appeared, we were badgered by 8 agents on the phone, hounded by five agents who were curiosity seekers, and driven crazy by real estate agents who were Sunday lookers. We were also discouraged by our homemade tours. Lord knows we tried. I would gather a couple of live ones in the hallway. My husband threatened to start biting his nails again if we involved him in my little off-Broadway production, and give them a brief history of the house. I cautioned them about staying with a guide, reminding them the classes were opened only upon a written request submitted 24 hours in advance of the tour. Some groups were quite ugly. When I adjusted toward the lavatory and announced, "This is the bathroom," one fat man with a cigar snarled, "You're kidding. I thought it was a mess kitchen with a crazy soup pot." Some woman, I discovered, made a profession of touring houses for sale. Something to do on grocery day, like trying on hats in a dime store or looking at trusses in the medical supply house. We finally put the house in the hands of our friendly real estate agents. From that moment, the family was on red alert. When the agent called to say he was bringing prospective customers through, one child would empty ashtrays, gather all the dishes off the table, and dump them in the oven. Later we found people look in ovens, so we stored them in the back seat of the car. One would smooth the empty beds, put out fresh towels, and empty waste cans. Another would cover the bird, tie up the dog, and douse the hamster cage with a strong deodorant. I would pull down the garage door, unscrew the bulb in the utility room, plop a few crummy plastic covers in the bathroom, as my last act on the way out, flush. Satisfied that the house looked as if it had never been lived in, we scurried to the neighbor's spirea bushes where we stayed until the entourage left. This went on for weeks. The strain was beginning to show on all of us. Then one night it happened. We showed the house with the kids in it, sitting on the sofa with all the lights on. This was the night the house sold. I felt a quiet giddiness and relief. Like when you think you're pregnant, it turns out to be Asian flu. I was smiling out loud when my husband walked in. You know the garage has been missing since we bought the house? I just found it under some junk. As they say in the ads, you have to see it to believe it. If selling the house was traumatic, moving made me a prime candidate for the mental health poster girl of the month. Once when I was a kid, I remember the circus came to town. Within 5 minutes of the finale, the big tent was hauled down and lowered on a train. Aboard were 15 trained elephants, 5 wild lions, 2 domestic bears, 12 dancing ponies, and a singing prairie dog, all caged neatly in a row. And 250 performers and workers who waved goodbye from the train as they pulled out of town. It took me 3 weeks to make contact with my friendly moving representative. He gave me a manual. Everything you always wanted to know about moving were too cheap to ask. That said there was nothing to it. In the foreword it said, 1 out of 5 families in the United States moves every year. See this page for illustration. I turned quickly to the page, where a picture brought tears to my eyes. Mother was playing checkers on a moving box with her preschoolers. Dad, with a pipe in his mouth, was bouncing a beach ball to his son, while in the background 6 movers were earning hernias. The manual continued. Remember the 3 key concepts of a fun move: planning, organization, and ruthlessness with your discards. If you want to stand around and bounce a beach ball to your son on moving day, I announced to my husband, you are going to have to plan. What does that mean? He asked. That means I've already packed your golf clubs, electric shaver, books and clothes, with the exception of a pair of slacks, 3 shirts, and change of shorts. But we're not moving for 5 weeks. That's where organization takes over, I said. You will note each box which is packed has a number on it from 1 to 9. Each number corresponds with a master sheet in which each room of the new house is given a number. Thus, when the mover walks in the front door and says, "Number 5, lady," I will look up from my checkers game and say softly, "That's the second bedroom on the right down the hall." "Where's the master sheet?" he asked. "I'm not sure," I pondered. It's either packed in the number 1 box with unpaid bills and unopened 4th-class mail, or stuffed aside in the encyclopedia and banana box all they got for the A&P. It will show up, don't worry. In the meantime, we must work on being ruthless with our discards. We'd never been ruthless with our discards before. We discovered that when we ran across 3 boxes in the attic marked rain-soaked Halloween masks. I see what you can do without your attendance certificates from the 3rd grade and your letter desk calendars from 1954, I said, blowing dust from a carton in the attic. Very well, he retaliated. I say if we can do it without your broom with 4 straws and a drawstring that hasn't fit you since you were 10. Okay, I growled. Is that with your torn billfold with the autographed picture of Gail Storm? Then it's out with that box of baby things with the moat-stained bibs. Now, just a darn minute, I said. Any minute brain knows you do not throw out baby clothes. Why not? Because you're asking for it, that's why. I knew a woman to give away her baby clothes the next month she became pregnant. What's wrong with that? She was 53 years old. During the next 3 weeks, we were to devote every waking hour to disposing of our disposables. It took us a day and a half to lug all the stuff from the attic to the end of the driveway. It took our kids just 20 minutes to bring it all inside again. The baby just sat in the middle of the floor in a musketeer beanie, clutching a consumptive basketball and looking hostile. Guess my better judgment, we even staged a garage sale that made Disneyland look like a mausoleum. The whole thing was conceived by my girlfriend Esther, who said, "You are natural for a garage sale." "Why do you say that?" I asked. "Because you are cheap." "I don't think you understand," I sniffed, "that spreading one's personal wares out in the garage for public exhibition is not only crass, it smacks of being tacky." "I made $32 off my junk," she said. "Why didn't you say so?" I asked excitedly. "Get the card table and let's get started." The garage sale began at 9 a.m. By 7:30 a.m. I had 15 cars parked in the driveway, 18 on the lawn, 2 in a ditch, and a Volkswagen trying to parallel park between 2 andirons in my living room. They grabbed and bought everything that wasn't pumping water, cemented to the ground, growing from seed, or spit sparks at them when touched. They bought cocktail toothpicks labeled like new, radios guaranteed not to play ever, plastic bars that had died, toothless rakes, buckets with leaks, books of German military commands, and ukulele that only knew one song, The World is Waiting for the Sunrise. At one point, I tried to shove the cow with a package in my hand. A woman got it from me and said, "I'll give you 35 cents. "No, really," I stammered. "This isn't—" 40 cents, she said, grabbing it. "So my final offer." It's the first time anyone ever paid me 40 cents for my garbage. By 4 p.m., I watched tiredly as a woman tried to coax my husband into her trunk. "Esther," I said, "that is the most incredible sight I've ever seen." "What's in that package on your arm?" she said. "It's nothing," I hesitated. "It's Mildred's laundry," she shouted. "How much did you pay for it?" 35 cents, but some of it still fits. With the garage sale behind us, all that remained was the checklist the moving representative had given us. "You want to read aloud?" asked my husband while I confirm it. "I can't," he said. "You packed my glasses away 5 weeks ago." "Oh, for crying out loud, I'll read the new check. Did we turn off the milkman? Telephone? Furnace? Utilities? Newspaper? Garbage? Mail? Check. Did we defrost the refrigerator? Unplug the washer? Disconnect the Avon lady? Check. Did we change our addresses on magazine subscriptions, insurance policies, and credit cards? Check. Do we have all our valuables, including jewelry, stocks, checks, cash, and important papers in one place? "They're in my shirt pocket," he said dryly. "Could you drive with a tropical fish on your lap and a pot-bound philodendron at your feet?" "I think so." "Did we ever find the front door key?" "Did we ever have one?" "I guess that's it," I said, smiling. "I have to check aboard the beach ball. All we have to do is find the car keys and the kids," and we both looked at each other at the same time. Then we started ripping cardboard boxes open. "Could they be packed in a number 2 box with the cocktail olives and used razor blades?" "Try the number 5 box marked faded towels and shirt cardboards for finger painting." Actually, this wasn't the first time we ignored the children in the whole operation. We made plans to move, and it occurred to us to discuss it with our children. We knew our oldest son would follow the refrigerator to combat if he had to. Our daughter made a residence behind the wheel of a compact. It was just a matter of finding a home for her mouthwash. We raised our younger son with a 2-word philosophy: trust us. The other woman at Dry Cleaner said, "I cannot believe you did not call a family council and discuss it with your children. Moving a child against his will will often make a psychological impact that's difficult to heal." "I don't know about you," I said. We gathered around the dining room table. "But I feel like Ozzy and Harriet voting on whether or not to have the fruit punch or the Shirley Temple fizzle at the fraternity sock hop." My husband cleared his throat. "I suppose you wonder why I've gathered you all together. Moving in a few weeks, I wanted to encourage some discussion on it." My son ate an apple noisily, core and all, and said it was all right him and left. My daughter asked us to leave the new address in the sun visor of the car and made her exit. Our younger son said simply, "I'm not going." "What do you mean you're not going?" we shouted. "I've thought it over," he said, "and I've got too much going for me here. My friends, my school, my paper route." "But where would you live?" we asked. "I could get an apartment." "A 12-year-old in an apartment. You can't even ride your bike across the highway." "I thought family councils were supposed to be democratic," he said. "They are," barked his father. "If you still have relatives living in town you want to see again, be quiet." "You and your crummy democratic way," I said. "I told you it wouldn't work." His father took a deep breath and steadied himself at the table. "As council president, I move to motion discussion on the matter of moving be closed, and any objections must be submitted in writing before the next council meeting, which has been indefinitely suspended. The family council is adjourned." We both sat there. "Wonder what a psychological impact looks like?" I asked my husband. "I don't know," he said. "The only thing I remember from my father is I've handed my hindsight instead read for a year and a half. It's probably the same thing." We spent all of our time being apprehensive about traveling across country with 3 hostile children. We should have given more time to thinking about traveling with a dog. I've read about people who simply will not travel unless they can take their animals with them. But then, I've also read about monks who flog themselves with chains for penance, and native tribe in New Zealand that inflicts pain by running spears through their tongues. I was crazy about animals as the next one, but face it, Following a movie ran 3,000 miles with the dogs rubbing your face and his ears whipping your face as they flap in the no draft, there's no way to travel. We were not on the road for a house with our dog 8 hours before we realized he had placed certain restrictions on everyone in the car. He demanded a seat of his own, in the front, next to the window, with his own safety belt. When another car passed with a dog in it, he declared the car open range and sprang from the front to the back seat, gouging everyone his toenails and obstructing everyone's view. My husband remembers the entire state of Texas as a hairy tale. There would be none of this crack the window and leave the dog in the car while we eat routine. First we tried, his screams were picked up by a Russian satellite. From then on he ate hamburgers, fries, chicken, pizza, and tacos with the rest of the people. He was quite selective about his restrooms, protecting the bare strips along the roadside, open field, and secluded forests. He preferred the intimacy of a lawn chair at a poolside, a potted plant in the motel lobby, or the leg of a hotel manager. The problem, said my husband one night at a motel, is the dog has nothing to do. He chewed out the last 3 coloring books I got him, I said dryly. He doesn't sing well. Don't be cute, he said. I feel sorry for him. I think the answer to stop more often and let him run would be with other dogs. Next afternoon, we pulled up to a roadside park and followed the signs to a section marked dog area. The grass was so tall we could barely find the picnic table. Delicately, we made our way through where we found ourselves surrounded by dogs. This is great, said my husband. Just what he needs. Now, where's the dog? We looked around to discover him in the well-manicured lawn section, sitting on a bench, eating fried chicken with an older couple. I shook my head. I know he's a dog. You know he's a dog. Do you want to tell him and break his heart? We had 3,000 miles to talk about the house we wanted. A friend who was an Air Force wife said there's nothing to reading ads in the papers. You just have to speak the language. Once you break the language code salesmen use in selling houses, it's no sweat. For example, a handyman's dream. If you're married to a contractor, buy it. If not, forget it. Chances are the last major repair in the house was a new chain for the John. Spacious grounds and green grass. This means the septic tank is gone. To be sure, check out the house during a drought. If there's an oasis, pass it by. Tenants leaving town. Immediate occupancy. They didn't hear the 4 occupants were a motorcycle gang who left skid marks on the living room floor and used the dumbwaiter for beer cans. No children. Show my landlord who will not accept children. They'll show your landlord who doesn't permit squeaky rockers, asthmatic coffee pots. He will place on your loafers for flushing after 5 p.m. You've got to see it to believe it. You do, and you won't. Priced for quick sale. Watch out for these, especially if the owners wish to be paid in pesos. Southern Charmer, built in 1732. The plumbing was built in 1732. The rest was patched up with the fence cabin leftovers. Country living. Yes, but which one? We used to live in a house so far out of town we had to get malaria shots. Convenient to stores. It's usually over one. Another pitfall I had to watch out for was neighborhoods. I guess there are some naive women who think that when you buy a home, you consider only its physical features, its distance from good schools, and its convenience to shopping centers. Rarely did they interview their prospective neighbors until they have an unpleasant experience. When I was first married, I fell into a bad neighborhood. I discovered one of my neighbors baked bread. Another was a size 3, did not go on maternity clothes until she was 8.5 months. My stomach was larger with hers when I coughed, and she dusted to a mailbox. 4 years ago, I hit lucky. We lived in a house between 2 cemeteries. But then, how often do these opportunities come along? I think that's a good idea to do a home study on a neighborhood before you find yourself in a nest of thin, intelligent, talented, organized mothers who were also athletic. If the good Lord had meant for me to play tennis, He would have divided my legs from my hips to the knees. Before I buy, I always ask them to answer true or false to the following. Ovens with see-through doors should be banned. Surplus kids should be recycled in the name of ecology. Christmas tinsel on the rug is a lived-in home. A small waist makes you tire easily. A well-balanced meal is boring. Eliminate clutter. Get rid of your sweeper attachments. If you have trekked true to each of these, I wish you lived in my neighborhood. We looked at one house and I saw a neighbor out of doors. I started talking when a returner came up and asked, Mom, did you iron my plaid skirt? Of course, smiled the mother patiently. It's hanging in your closet, dear. But are you sure you ironed it? Insisted the child. Her mother nodded. Okay, said her daughter. Just I'm not used to a cold zipper. And that's a neighbor I could love. It's hard to believe we bought the new house in 3 days. Unless your marriage was made in heaven, I do not recommend it. We've always adhered to a theory that the union of two people was never meant to withstand the punishment of hanging wallpaper together, putting strawberries side by side, working as a team with a checkbook, sharing an electric blanket with a single control, spending 3 rainy days in a camper, or having children 10.5 months apart. We've just added to this list buying a house. Being extremely efficient, my husband kept a notebook of dozens of houses we viewed, and at the end of a day in our hotel room we would go over the day's crop. The one with the woman cleaning the pool was well built, said my husband. The house? No, the woman. Personally, I said, I like the house with the meatloaf in the oven. There's something about onions. Was that the one where the owner kept following us around and pointing, this is the bathroom? Yes, and you were rude to keep shouting, right. I loved the decorator's house, but it was too small. How old is the junior now? Forget it. He's only 12 and isn't even engaged. I like the one with the basketball hoop, said a voice. Who is he? I asked tiredly. Our 12-year-old, said my husband. We've got to start narrowing it down, I sighed. Okay, I vote for the house on that deserted dirt road, he grinned. My eyes flashed. You won't be happy until I have to organize a garbage carpool, will you? Whenever you get that long, round house from that adorable woman who can't have my book on her coffee table, our furniture wouldn't fit into that house. Since when does early poverty fit any house? I snarled. Did the house with the vicious dog do anything for you? Couldn't see much from the car with the windows rolled up, he said. Besides, I was thinking we had better give up buying and look for a rental. That tears it, I snarled. Look at 31 houses in 3 days, count bathrooms, check out plumbing, interrupt dinners, make pages of notes, and you suggest renting. That's what you can expect, I guess, for a man whose mother wore a navy blue dress to our wedding. We'll buy the one with your book on the coffee table. I threw my arms around him. Wonderful. You may have to sleep with the storm windows for a while until we can figure out storage. It doesn't work out. We can always shop for another house. The end.